Hello and welcome to the Pickup WNBA podcast. I'm your host, Cathryn Naiker.
And I'm your other host, Freddie Rivas. What's up?
And this is episode 100, baby. We
100,
made it.
baby. We
We
made it.
made it.
It is episode 100. Make sure to follow us on all our socials at the Pickup WNBA pod, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Also, special 100 news. Shout out to our incredible content creator, social media person, just like all around amazing person, Karina
Yes.
Mustafa, who brought forward this cool idea to give away a prize, and we all put our heads
To
together.
do a contest
A
for
contest.
100. Yes.
Yeah, so it's we're giving away a official Wilson WNBA basketball to a lucky fan, and here are the rules. So rule number 1, follow at the Pickup WNBA pod on Twitter and or IG. Comment who you think will win it all in the WNBA finals, and 3 shares plus reposts count as extra entries. And yeah, we've got a lot of action already. I mean, I'm not gonna spoil it, but there's a couple people who are like leading, but very much you can still get in there and share the love. And also, we just really appreciate it, and we've got a lot of cool feedback. So yeah, get in there, tell us who you think's gonna win, and you might be getting a Wilson WNBA basketball.
Official.
Official Tom Hanks Wilson on an island.
And also, don't forget to find us on YouTube. We're on YouTube now. And if you want to comment on our YouTube page as well, or share our YouTube links,
Also
we will
counts.
we will count that as well. And also just thank you everyone for being with us, whether you've been with us since the beginning or you found us more recently. We appreciate you so much. We've really loved growing this podcast. This podcast has been a passion project, from us, being 2 WNBA fans all the way out in Toronto. We started this in 2021. No team, a lot's changed in the last 3 years, and it's been really cool to be a part of it.
Yeah, we talked about Brittany Griner. We interviewed Anna Robinson. We met the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau. Like, it actually has been a journey.
Yeah, truly. Yeah, we had to spend
chicken
almost
Wendy's after meeting the Prime Minister. It was big. I wolfed down a Frosty. It was nuts.
You did. Yeah,
Like
it was
down.
it was the end of days,
Yeah.
truly.
I wasn't joking around.
No, but yeah, we've had a lot of fun adventures. We got to be accredited media for the WNBA game in Toronto as well.
We won awards. Listen, we're bragging.
Yeah, we did. Hey, we won an award.
2.
Yes, that's right. We won 2 awards for sports and leisure podcasts in Canada.
Yeah. And you know what? Yes, we are bragging, but this this is our 100th episode.
And it only took 90 episodes for us to invest in our social media, but you know what? Hey,
we got there. Next episode's all about Dalmatians. We're going to name every single one. And it's going to be out of control.
Yeah, we're going to do a Christmas reindeer special.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, check it out. But yeah, honestly and truly, thank you all so much. It's really exciting to hit this milestone. And, Freddie and I, we've got day jobs. We've got all kinds of things going on. We're artists. We're all these different things. But doing this has always been nothing but a pleasure. So excited. Exciting times for us.
Exciting times. And Cathryn, it's been great working with you.
Aw, Freddie. It's been great working with you.
Take off? Whoa. Where'd he go?
And I'm like, what, Freddie, what happened to your camera? Hello. No, it's been great working with you. I couldn't have done this with anyone else.
Oh, here.
With a fist pump. Okay, let's move on. Let's jump into basketball. Big week. We're recording this Monday night, October 7th. The New York Liberty are officially in the WNBA finals. Tuesday, we're gonna have game 5. I love that we got a game 5. As a fan, selfishly, I love that we got a game 5 with the Minnesota Lynx and the Connecticut Sun. But first, let's talk about this Liberty Aces series, yeah?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, Liberty went in 4. A lot of interesting things happened here. I feel like, the Aces turned up their defense in game 3. Um, I'm paraphrasing, but I recall Asia during the broadcast kind of saying like, we're finally playing defense and that sort of thing. Which is interesting when like veteran teams kind of like don't up the ante, but then also on the game 4 broadcast they were like, the Aces kind of looked tired, they had to play so hard in game 3, blah blah blah. Curious, Freddie, what do you think the main difference was for them this season compared to last?
For the Aces?
Yeah.
I think this is an oversimplification, but I think they ran out of gas.
Yeah.
And, the combination of not having Candace Parker, uh, Chelsea Gray being injured for such a big portion of the year, Asia Wilson having to carry, the team in the way that she hadn't before. All 4 of the Aces stars being, like going to the Olympics. It was just, and also a three-peat, right? So they are trying to three-peat, which I feel like people don't really think about when teams are going back to back or they're trying to repeat or just spend a lot of the time in the playoffs. There's a cumulative fatigue, right? So
Mhm.
whether it's the Sun, the Liberty, or the Aces, those 3 teams have gone deep in the playoffs, like for like a bunch of years in a row. And for the Aces, it wasn't even just this back to back repeat, right? Like all the way back to like when we first started covering, doing our podcast, like with Liz Campage, like the Aces have like been a team for a
Yeah.
while. But and when it comes to this particular series, as much as I feel like in some ways it can be interpreted as a coach turning on their team. I think that Becky Hammon was correct in saying like this Liberty team's angry at the Aces.
Mhm.
Like they're just straight up mad. They like, it's a sports cliche, but they want it more. They're pissed. They're on a revenge tour, like whatever. But like the ball was zipping more for the Liberty. They didn't have to wake up their defense to
Right.
get into the series. Like they just came out and it's not like, the first series where they just like smack the dream. Like the Aces are better than that. But by the time the Aces got it going, it just like wasn't enough. And I think of the Liberty of their 3 games, like 2 were like borderline blowouts, and then 1 was tight.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
No, I think that's you made a lot of great points. And one thing I want to talk about with Becky Hammon is this quote came up, I believe, last week, where she said that, the Aces players have been quote unquote like busy being celebrities and being a bit distracted. Did you see that? And I just thought it was so strange because I'm like, the Liberty have celebrities. Like Sabrina is one of the biggest celebrities in the game, as well as Stewie. Like
I
it's
didn't think
like
about that. Yeah.
I was like, it was just such to me, it was like a really odd comment because I'm like, yes, the Aces have gotten big and like, they're big 4, like Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, Kelsey Gray, like, or Chelsea Gray, sorry. They are some of the biggest players in the whole league. And I'm sure they have gotten a lot of celebrity attention, maybe even like, designer clothes and, all sorts of things. But it's like, so have the Liberty, they have also gotten all of those things. So I just thought it was an odd comment from her, and it felt like it was, it was midway in the series when she said that, and I was like, oh, like I didn't. It felt like she was making excuses, and I
I
didn't expect
yeah,
that from her.
I agree. And here's a hot take from me. So I'm just gonna like preface this a little bit. But there's basically exactly what you said. And then also, a great writer and podcaster, Nikias Duncan, who writes on the NBA and WNBA, had a really cool question where he was talking about like sort of like overloading one side, and it was very strategic and like heady basketball stuff. And Becky Hammond was like, wow, Nikias, like, were you in the walkthrough this morning?
That's right.
Right. But, and as funny as that was, it did make me think, Becky, you don't have this team prepared.
Yes.
So and then watching her, like that viral clip of her, like, yelling in Plum's face on the bench and stuff. And it's like, this is your first moment as a W coach on court anyhow, where it's like, you're not perfect. Because you came from this, like, you're a legend in your own right. You're like kind of a disciple of, some would say, the best NBA coach of all time in Greg Popovich, one of the best coaches in American history.
Yeah.
And like, you're one of his longest serving assistants, and you come to the WNBA and you're just like flawless. But also you encounter Sandy Brondello, who's never missed a playoffs, and is just like a really, really serious coach in her own right. And I mean, here's a question. Do you think it's fair to say that the Liberty have a lot more talent than the Aces?
No, I would not say that's fair.
Right. And that's sort of exactly right. And so there's like all the marginal, all the stuff that's like on the margins matters here. And like, obviously, if I met Becky Hammond, I would not have the audacity to be like, your team wasn't prepared, because she'd be like, you're an idiot and you don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Like, but like, I do think, like, just as from like, hey, you know what I mean? But like, I do feel like from just like a fan and a podcaster, there's just like picking up on the details is like, man, the Liberty, they are just, I don't know. I mean, I'll even say this. I feel like the Lynx and the Sun have like the eye of the tiger more than the Aces do. And again, I don't know, like, there's so many things to attribute that to, but one person I feel like you really just can't say that about is A'ja Wilson. Like,
Yeah.
A'ja Wilson has had such an insane season that you really just have to remove her from like any conversation regarding like what happened here.
This team, yeah. I completely agree. And I think like you made a really great point about her not being prepared necessarily. We can't say that for sure. Like, did she or did she not have her team prepared? But to have a media member know your whole strategy is like, it's there's something about championship teams, and I've seen this throughout the NBA as well, when like a team wins regularly, that they kind of like rest on their laurels a bit. And I think it's really hard to maintain a certain level of intensity for so long. Like I think that kind of goes back to us saying like they were gassed, right? Because I think it's just hard to be that intense for so many years. Like think about it. This is the first year Becky Hammond has been a head coach in the WNBA and hasn't won a championship. Right? Like,
Yeah.
So everyone has spent multiple years figuring out every single move she's gonna make, right? Because when you win, you've got a target on your back. And I think the Liberty, like, even when the Aces had like a really great game 3, it's like the Liberty knew exactly how they were gonna bounce back. And they weren't, obviously they were probably disappointed to lose the game, but they weren't sweating it. You know what I mean? Like, they weren't worried. They knew exactly how to come back, and they did. So it's like, maybe it's just having other strategic partners on the bench. I mean, I'm not trying to, trash the assistant coaches, but I'm just saying, like, you gotta keep things fresh somehow, right? Like, I think, like, when you look at the Golden State Warriors, they've kind of gone through a similar thing where it's like everyone knows what Steve Kerr is going to do. Everybody, and it makes it harder and harder for them to win. Like, unless they have a new player, right? Like in 2022, they had like Andrew Wiggins show like a new version of himself we hadn't seen before, and like Jordan Poole emerging. So it was like, okay, there's these new players that we haven't seen play at this level before, and that helps them. So with the Aces, it's like, I'm really curious what they're gonna do in the off season now, because, like, Becky Hammon again, I believe it was today during a press conference, said, "We're not gonna have the same group," which I
Mhm.
thought was kind of, like, shocking just to say that outright. Like, it's like it's like, "Becky, it's only Monday." You know what I mean? Like, the
Ah,
loss is fresh still, but
Karina, if you're looking for clips, Becky, it's only Monday.
I mean, it's true. The loss is still fresh, and you're already like, we're not going to have the same team next year. And it's like, damn, like that's kind of cold, but also like it makes sense. But I think for the Aces too, like I think their core, like that big four, right, of Asia, Kelsey, Chelsea, and Jackie, like keep those four together.
Oh,
I wouldn't mess with
100%.
that
No,
ever.
that's gold, yeah.
Yeah, but I think, if I were them, where I would be looking to move within the margin, so to speak, is finding a big. I don't know who that's going to be, but finding someone who can really help you defend against Jonquel Jones, I think is the next big move for them from a
Yeah.
roster perspective.
So the second best rebounder in this series for the Aces was Jackie Young.
Right.
So they need bigs. Like,
Yeah,
it
that's
was
wild.
right, Asia Wilson with 9.3 boards and Jackie Young with 4.8. Yeah, I mean,
Wow. Yeah.
Kia Stokes was like kind of supposed to be that, but they definitely needed more size, didn't have it. And I also feel like, so much, obviously we're talking about the Aces because they're just on this like legendary tear, and they're in the you bring up the Golden State Warriors, which I think is fair because it's like that's the level that the Aces are rocking
Yeah,
at.
they're one of the best teams in this league's history.
Yeah, and I think I don't know enough to say like us like I know enough to say that the Aces are one of the best teams in WNBA history, but I don't know enough to say about the Liberty. But I'll say this: the Liberty they got to be on the level of some of the better teams that. So I mean, definitely one of the best teams I've ever seen. I'll say that. And this Liberty team, I think what happens, in like, in sports is like there's winners and losers, and like I feel like the losers sometimes, we focus on the losers so much, but like the winners don't get enough credit for just like, in the Becky scenario, like I'm just like almost like a devil's advocate to myself, but like is she guilty of not preparing her team as best she could, or did she perhaps get outfoxed? And
Right.
the rise of Sabrina, Leonie Phoebish, like all the role players. Obviously, Stewie just cooked, and Stewie at the in her presser said that like she kept all the receipts, but
Yeah.
also like she's focused on winning the championship. So it's kind of like I'm not about to like whatever. I'm not about to just celebrate too early here. But I think the Liberty deserve more credit than the Aces do blame. But I also feel like we will be talking more about the Liberty,
Yeah.
in subsequent pods. So it's fair that we, I've given a lot of time here to the Aces.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned Phoebish because she is one of those players that has been like a massive difference maker that you wouldn't have necessarily like planned for.
Hmm.
Right? And I feel like championship teams, like, they need that,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's kinda like, you know who your stars are and you know what they're gonna do, and then I think one thing every single championship team has in common in basketball, I think this goes for both leagues, is they have role players that step up.
Hmm.
Right? I think that is true and true. The one thing you could say about every single team is they have role players that step up. And I feel like with the Aces, we talked a bit about Kia Stokes and stuff, and it's like they just didn't have that. And I think there's just been too much on Asia's shoulders throughout the season. And it's
Hmm.
like, if you're the Aces now, it's like, okay, we know everything that Asia Wilson is capable of and more, but now how do we get her to do a little less and still win?
Yeah.
I think that's the goal for them. But do you wanna I have something slightly fun to share with you, Freddie. You know, we talked about the Liberty keeping receipts.
Mhm.
I wanna give a shout out to, Us Weekly, huh? A publication we don't mention often here.
Okay.
Us Weekly, writer Daniel, Trainer, I believe is his name.
Okay.
Uh, he also kept the receipts and and wrote an article about it. So, he recounts what happened last year after the Aces defeated the Liberty in the 2023 finals.
I love
Plum
this.
Yeah, Kelsey Plum courted controversy with her post-game comments about the New York squad. She said, quote, "I think we knew we hadn't played our best basketball," Kelsey Plum said. "We also knew that as much as they're a team, they're not a team, if that makes sense. They're really good individual players, but they don't care about each other. And you can tell in those moments they reverted back to individual basketball."
Whoa.
And then Jonquel Jones last year, I believe. Yeah, Jonquel Jones, whose response to Plum has resurfaced in the wake of the Liberty eliminating the Aces. Yes, so this is last year. Jonquel Jones in response said, quote, "She is not in our locker room. She doesn't know what goes on in our locker rooms, in our huddles. I think it's easy to kick people when they're down and you're up." Jones added, "Honestly, to me, it felt kind of classless. You already won a championship. You get to celebrate with your teammates. You get to talk about things that your team did to be successful. And you chose to essentially just shit on somebody else and their team and what they've built all year. I don't care anything for it, to be honest."
That's so
So,
like eloquent. I love that.
yeah. And so,
I
like,
don't care anything for it. Cheers, governor.
yeah, and so I've got another important quote for you here. Last year as well, Brianna Stewart, I didn't know this. Her father-in-law passed away around this time last year. So she was like dealing with a lot of grief during last
Mm.
year's playoffs and finals, and I didn't know that. And she said, she said this year. So no matter what, it's a really tough time, just the way that the series went last year, kind of going through all of that and making sure that this year's different. She added, "Marta, who's her partner, and I talked about doing everything that her dad would want us to do. We continue to do that." So this is like real insight into like the comments that were made and how they took this personally. And like you said, she went on to say, "I have receipts on the things that were said. The entire team does. My mentality today was to really go in and get this win for my wife and her dad."
Wow.
Big stuff there.
So two thoughts. One, the Stewie thing. That's real motivation. But one thing I love in sports is, you look at like the hardcore champions in sports, and they like there's all these funny circumstances, which is could be a whole other podcast about people who manufacture motivation.
Mm.
So to give someone who's so good at finding motivation, who would even manufacture motivation, real motivation, um, like a Stewie, is wow, you're really playing with it. And um, also, I would just want to touch on the Jonquel Jones thing. What a story! Was with Connecticut, lost to the Aces in the
Yeah.
finals, was with the Liberty, lost to the Aces in the finals. This is a nice moment for Jones. And it's interesting to me, I actually haven't seen her presser, but like, I'd be very curious to hear what Jones said, because I feel like she gives me the impression that she would be true to her word and not kick someone when they're down. And she would be like,
Ooh,
because this is her third finals in a row. Like, she's like, I
yeah.
mean, if you're the Lynx or the Sun, you are going up against someone who's hungry. Although if you're the Sun, you're also like, fuck you for leaving us.
Well, the storyline's there. Yeah, like we haven't gone into like a possible finals preview yet because we want to talk about the
Yeah,
Lynx and the Sun. But
yeah.
yeah, the storylines with the Sun are probably more interesting.
Oh,
Uh,
for sure.
right? Like that would be wild. And personally I'd love to see it, but yeah, I mean, I had to read that article. Shout out to Us Weekly. That was, I love that article because it is a little gossipy, but it's only rooted in fact and like quotes that they said. So I feel like it's a good balance between those two things.
What's his name? Train
Daniel, Trainer, I believe.
Daniel Trainer. I'm gonna look him up and tell people to follow him on Twitter because
Oh yeah.
I love shouting out other people.
I'll send you the article in our private chat there.
So
Um,
he's Daniel Trainer, Dan Trainer 1. Give him a follow. Should we talk about this other
yeah, we should talk about this.
series? Like it's fucking awesome.
Oh yeah, there's another series.
Yeah, but this was big. They've been obviously Caitlin Clark, Andrew Reese, rookie class, but these two teams have like been the story. So this feels like yet another big moment in their like legacies that are tied together.
Oh, absolutely. Like a part of me is kind of like a part of me is happy that the Liberty won this series because I feel like it's going to add fuel for the Aces. And fuel to this rivalry in general. Right? Like I think if the Aces won, this whole rivalry would just be too one-sided.
I
You know
know.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Totally.
anyway, yeah, I agree. Okay, let's move on. Game 5. Connecticut Sun, Minnesota
Woo!
Lynx in Minnesota.
Big time. We're getting to game 5, first of all, which is huge.
Yeah, huge. It's our first game 5 of and only game 5 so far of this playoffs, right?
Yep.
Who do you got, Freddie? Who do you think's coming out on top of this thing?
Got to stick with my Lynx.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's anyone's series. This has been an absolutely incredible series. So I'm just gonna read you the game scores. So here we got Sun 73, Lynx 70, Lynx 77, Sun 70, Lynx 90, Sun 81, and then Sun 92, Lynx 82. So
Crazy. Yeah,
this
it's
has
been
been
close.
it's been so close. It's been so fun, and just like both of these teams are legit contenders. I think whoever plays New York, New York's has to be the favorite, right? But both of these teams have been absolutely just like amazing. This has been the best series of the playoffs so far, and it's not even close, in my opinion. It's just really been like just incredible basketball.
It's been very physical. It's been very gritty. It's been a real gutted out game in, game out. It's been to me like the best version of what you hope playoff basketball to be. And I will say I also think the Lynx are going to win this series, but I'm rooting for the Sun. And I'm rooting for the Sun for a few reasons when we talked about those storylines, but that's just us being messy. Like I think like I'm rooting for the Sun because they're just that team that have been like knocking on that door. We talked about them being in the finals 2 years ago. You know, they they were able to regroup so quickly after Jonquel Jones left. And I believe I should look this up, but I believe both Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner are free agents after this season. And I feel like if they don't break through to the finals again, it just leaves this team with a lot of, postseason question marks. And I feel like I really enjoy this team. And I'm not saying they would split up, but it would obviously be a question mark, like how much do we pay these players and keep this roster together that doesn't make the finals, right? And I just feel like I wanna see this team stick together, and whereas with the Minnesota Lynx, I feel like they will re-up, and I don't think it's gonna be a question. And this is the first time this version of the Lynx has been here.
Yeah, I think that's very well said, and I feel like if you're the Sun, there's always this looming thing where, in a league that's getting more and more competitive, and like every little edge and advantage matters. There was that unfortunate news piece about like the Sun, Alyssa Thomas complaining about like having to share their practice arena with like other people.
Oh,
Like
yeah, they were like, was it a community center or something?
Yeah, well, and it's a like the what the Mohegan Sun have is like really cool, like the arena, and it's like only like I should say this, in Canada we say like indigenous peoples, in the U.S. it's a more common term is Native American,
Right.
like the only Native American owned franchise, right? So in Canada we have like none of our major sports like have like indigenous ownership. It's really, really cool. So I just want to like put that out there. But also, it's I think they still have to be critiqued for like it's a league where you have to give your players the best. And when it comes to free agents, you might have free agents being like, we want the best facilities. I want to win a championship, like all that kind of stuff. Right. So we've seen it with the Liberty. We've seen it with the Aces. I think we're
We've
going to
also
see it.
seen the opposite side of this with the Chicago Sky.
Exactly. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
was going to say, I think we're going to see it with the Valkyrie. I think we're going to see it with Toronto's team. And, I would assume the ownership of Portland, like these new teams that are coming in they're coming to win. They're coming to spend. So
Yeah, we've seen the Phoenix Mercury invest more in practice facilities and things like that, naming it after Taurasi, like, I believe the Seattle Storm have also done that.
mhm.
I'm not 100%, but on the Storm, but yeah, like, you're right, we've seen these teams make these investments, and it's like, if you're in a competitive place, like, you don't wanna get left behind, so, um, because there are teams out there that could give Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner, like, attractive offers.
Yes, exactly.
So, I feel like I'm rooting for the Sun because I want them to make it work.
Yeah, I'm really
And if
rooting for
they
this.
don't make it work, I feel like they become a bit more vulnerable. That's just my spidey sense.
And I think your spidey sense is bang on. I think that's like what the stakes are.
Yes.
Um, as far as like the actual like games and
Game.
stuff, like man, like Bonner's been amazing, Thomas has been amazing, Carrington's been incredible. Mabry, like what a massive addition. And on the Lynx side, like Courtney Williams has been insane, Collier, Carlton, McBride, also like for anyone, just this is like not a shot, but like anyone who sort of like found themselves on the side where they're being so physical with Caitlin Clark. It's like, I hope you watch this series because the W is physical. They're kicking each other's asses. Like they're just like it's
This
like it's
whole series has been more physical than
oh man,
anything
it's like
Caitlin Clark faced.
yeah.
We should also get on the links. We should give a shout out to Natisha Heidemann, 'cause she had she's been having huge games as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you're absolutely right. This series is one of the more physical I've seen since you and I started covering this league. I would say it's definitely one of the more physical series I've seen. I'm not gonna say it's the most because, like, I don't have that kind of data, but yeah, it's up there. So I'm really excited. I'm picking the Lynx, but I'm rooting for the Sun. That's where I kind of stand.
Yeah, it's funny, like the Lynx are like my team, right? But like I'm sort of rooting for the Sun as well. And I think if it was Sun Liberty, I think I'd be rooting for the Sun there. Like
Ooh, yeah.
there's just like again, I'm rooting for like close games, right?
It's like it's kind of an underdog sort of thing
And they've
too,
just
right?
been Yeah, like, to your point about, like, the stakes, because I think that's, like, the fun narrative here, like, they've just been knocking at the door for such a long time, and they're so good, and, I talked about, like, interviewing, LaChina as a highlight, but I remember, when we had her and, we were sort of like, who should we watch out for? Like, what teams are gonna be good? She kinda surprised us both by saying, like, even though the Sun lost Jones, like the Sun are no joke and they're about to like have another incredible regular season.
That's absolutely right.
And she was so bang on. And then also, like, I think I also fell in love with the Sun too, because, in her first year podcasting, they had that insane regular season where it was like they were having one of the best, it was Jonquil Jones MVP year. And it was just like they were just such an electric team. It feels like they're going to if they don't win a championship. I feel like they'll be one of these teams that go down as being like one of the best teams to not win a championship type thing. They're in that like
Yeah.
historic
Oh,
territory,
that's a
you
fun
know.
exercise. Yeah.
Like we're there's and there's these teams in every league because there's just so much competition, but there's so many teams that are like, which team is the best team to never win a championship? And like, I think, yeah, the Sun would have a pretty good claim to that
Mhm. Mhm.
if they don't
Yeah,
win.
that's well put. I will say we should talk a little bit about why we think the Lynx will win.
Yeah.
I
Um,
think the Lynx will win because Nafisa Collier's just been on fire. I think, I talked about, Heidemann really stepping up. I feel like when they are really in sync and they're on a roll, there's just something about it that feels, I don't wanna say effortless, but I'm gonna just say effortless, okay? There's just something about the way they play where, like, the ball is just it's moving in all the right ways, and there's something about it where with the Sun, I love watching them play, but there is a bit more of a grinded outness to it to them, and I just feel like it just makes it harder. Am I making sense?
you are making sense, and I think what you're speaking to is like also like the offensive firepower that I
Yes.
think the
Thank
Lynx,
you.
they have what the Liberty has in a sense, like not the defense, but they have the like, holy shit, this team just like cannot be stopped offensively. And credit to Coach of the Year Cheryl Reeve, like to talk about like, just someone who's done it all, seen it all, and it's just took this
Oh,
team,
this
which
is
was,
the past 2 coaches of the year battling it out too.
oh, that's fun. I didn't even
Yeah,
realize
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, yeah, like just this that's actually, yeah, and you know what? Maybe that speaks to the intensity of the series as well. But
Mhm.
yeah, the Lynx are really I think they're stacked without anyone quite realizing that they're stacked.
Yeah.
Myself included. And I think that they are just really, I don't know, they don't have a lot of weaknesses. And I would say that the Sun, yeah, credit to the Sun for just having like so much effort, and I feel like kind of getting better like as the series went along. But yeah, I'm just looking at some of the stats like Heidemann, I think Alana Smith deserves some love. And also uh I think I'm pronouncing this right, but Cecilia Zandalicini has put in some good minutes, and Maisha Hines Allen is not someone we've mentioned yet, but she's been a big part of the series and a big part of like the the depth of the links. I think that's the word I was just searching for when I
Yeah.
was listening to some players there.
Yeah, I agree, and I think, like, I believe, Bridget Carlton had, like, a really bad game 4.
Yeah, she shot two
Really
for
bad
11.
yeah, I think she's gonna bounce back. Like, I anticipate her having not necessarily, like, a massive game, but I think she'll have a bounce back game. I don't anticipate her, like, continuing to struggle, but if she does, that would be good for the Sun, just saying, you know?
Just saying, that would be
Just saying.
great for the Sun. No
I
worries.
really want them to win. But anyway, yeah, I've picked Minnesota, I'm gonna stick with it. And I've picked the Liberty to win it all. I think they are the favorites to win it all, regardless of who comes out of this. But that will start on Thursday, and that'll be really exciting. Let's do this. Because we're gonna do our next episode on Sunday. So the finals will have started. Who do you think is gonna win the finals, whether it's against Minnesota or the Sun, and by how many games?
Lynx in 5.
You think the Lynx are gonna win the whole championship?
That's who I picked, so I have to stick with it.
Oh, so you don't think the Liberty are gonna win at all? Because I thought you said that earlier.
I think the Liberty are the fair favorite.
Oh, yeah,
What I
okay.
said, but I think the Lynx are gonna win.
In 5?
Yeah, in another incredible series. I think like the Lynx will be. I think either team's gonna be ready for the Liberty. I think if it's the Sun, I'd pick the Liberty, and if it's the Lynx, I would pick the Lynx.
Okay, if it's the Sun, in how many games?
I'm gonna go Liberty in 4.
Okay,
But a tight 4. Like the games are tight. It's not like, you know.
I think I'm gonna agree with you on one thing. If the Connecticut Sun make it to the finals, I think the Liberty win the finals in 4 games.
Gotcha.
If Minnesota makes it to the finals, I think the Liberty win in 5 games. I think the Liberty, we just spent like almost half an hour talking about this revenge tear they've been on.
Mhm.
Not quite half an hour, but you know what I mean. Also, they'll have home court advantage.
Mhm.
Also, they've been here. I just feel like the Liberty are the clear favorites for a reason, and I think they will come out on top. But the Minnesota Lynx are so good defensively that even when the Aces had a really great defensive game 3, Sabrina compared it to the way the Lynx play against her. So it's like, you gotta give some credit there. I think the Lynx will have a really good series against the Liberty, but I don't think the Liberty are losing this championship. I just don't. So against Minnesota, I think it's Liberty in 5. Against Connecticut, I think it's Liberty in 4.
I love it.
I like that you're swerving though with Minnesota.
Yeah,
Even though you are wearing a Liberty color. Hello, Mr. Seafoam Teal here.
I am. Although,
oh my god! Shout out to Rebecca Lobo saying "seafoam" on Seafoam.
oh my god, with Jonquil and Brunel.
That was one of the craziest quotes I've heard on a
podcast. And videos. Watching that is so funny. And
such a crazy.
Because Jonquil Jones is already kind of pissed. And then like she gets up so quick and just like pummels Brondello, and then like doesn't really help her up because she's still mad, and she like sort of like it's just like I don't think she realized what happened. But I will say that
so great.
If it is the Lynx, we're gonna have Prowl versus Ellie the elephant, and it's gonna be good. It was a good mascot battle.
All right, that's entertaining for us and like a handful of other people.
Yeah.
Okay, Freddie, we're 43 minutes in. What do we want to move on to next?
Well, we talked about moving the expansion draft stuff, so maybe we should move that to next week and go straight
just
to
in the interest of time. Yeah, there's a lot of really fun and interesting stuff happening with the Golden State Valkyries right now, and like what the expansion draft is going to be like. But yeah, I think as much as we want to dive into it now, I think like we can save that for possibly after the finals or next week, depending on how this next week goes. And and then really dive into it. I think
this is the new and improved Cathryn Freddie calling an audible because it's juicy playoff time. So, it's all good.
Yeah. Okay. I think that means it's time to move on to our badass player of the week.
Dum, dum, dum.
Who you got?
My badass player of the week. There's a lot of people to choose from here. I'm going to go with Alyssa Thomas. Alyssa Thomas in this series is averaging only numbers that Alyssa Thomas could average. So she's 16.5 points a game, 9.3 rebounds a game, 8.5 assists. So like nearly averaging a triple double with 16 and a half points, a steal and a half, and great field goal percentage, and isn't really hitting threes, but that's like the only thing she's not doing. And by the way, just like playing insane defense. So this is the like MVP conversation, Alyssa Thomas, that we saw last year.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
I don't know if there's a player that their game really has like taken that big of a leap as much as Alyssa Thomas in the playoffs. Like, when you think about like the powerhouses like Stewie, Wilson, and um, Asia, it's like they were already, nuts in the regular season. And then if, they have risen a level, Sabrina maybe would be a candidate. But yeah, Alyssa Thomas, I think, has made that playoff jump that, yeah, it's like she has another gear and she turned it on.
Yeah. I love that pick. I'm going well, I was gonna also possibly pick another player from the Suns, but we decided it'd be best to pick a player from each series. So I'm going with Sabrina Ionescu, mainly because of how she bounced back this week. Like, I just think it's really, really impressive to go from such a horrible game three to such a massive game four to clinch this series. Get this, game three, she was a minus 23. That's rough. She was a
Egad.
minus 23 on the floor,
Egad.
and she bounced back to be a plus 17 on the floor. So, like, in game 4, she had, 22 points, 2 steals, 2 assists. Um, am I reading wait, am I reading this right in terms of rebounds? She didn't have 7 rebounds, did she? No. I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking at. These stats you sent me are too advanced. But, she was shooting 63% from 3, 50% from the floor overall. Um, she her not just her stats, but her competitive spirit, I think, became the real difference maker in game 4, and I think she's a big reason why they won and why they're advancing. And also, I made a purchase this week, and I bought the Sabrina 2s.
Whoa, that's big news.
I bought the Sabrina 2s, and I customized the colors very similar to the way Ellie the elephant did, and I did it, like, in Liberty colors. Do you see that? If you're on YouTube, you can see. This is the
Wow.
customization I
Seafoam on
did.
seafoam. Let's go.
Seafoam, black, white, a
Uh,
bit of gray to balance it out. I decided to fully go ahead and get some Sabrinas. This is the first time I've ever purchased, a shoe from a player
that's big
because
time.
I'm not made of money.
Mhm.
But, I needed new trainers for the gym and stuff like that. Like, come on, look at that, look at that. That's nice.
Amazing. Those are very nice. By the way, you're right, 7 rebounds. You're looking at the right
Oh, I
stats.
am looking at the right
Mhm.
thing, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, that's a massive, massive game, so shout out to Sabrina, and I'm looking forward to seeing her in the finals.
Me too.
Um, okay, it is time for Freddie's fun
Freddie's
question.
fun question. Here we go. I just want to shout out
100 Freddie fun questions.
100 Freddie fun questions. Are they getting less fun? You let us know, Engelbert. Um, are they getting more fun? I do
No,
want to
they're
say,
getting zanier for sure.
yeah, of course. By the way, if you have a Freddy's fun question, shoot me a line. I'm dying out here. I'm just kidding. But I love these. I'm doing okay, But I want to shout out. This is going to be a weird shout out, but just because you talked about buying a player's shoe, the first shoe I haven't bought a lot of players' shoes, but the first shoe I ever bought was $5. Uh,
What?
and it was Stephon Marbury's shoes, which he made accessible to everyone by making them cheap, and they were called the Starburys. I went to New York when I was 20 to do comedy
Oh
with
my
my
god.
sketch troupe at the time, and I got some Starburys. They were awesome. They served me well for a long time. Shout out Stefan Marbury.
That's really cool. That's
$5.
really
Yeah.
cool that he did that.
Yeah. Shaq did it a little bit for a
I
little bit as
spent
well.
like $200 on my shoes.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I think like it's amazing that he did that, but like not a lot of players followed suit. But
No.
whatever.
They should though.
They should. It's a
Even
cool
if
thing to
it's
do.
like a limited run.
Yeah, it was cool.
But anyway, yeah.
Here we go. Freddie's fun question dying out here. Um, okay, and this is a good one. This was an easy one, actually.
Yeah.
Cathryn, what is your all-time favorite moment from the first 99 episodes?
That we've done
You got
together.
to pick one. What is your favorite moment from one of our first 99 episodes?
This was hard to choose because, like we said at the top of the episode, we've had a lot of really great highlights, right? Like we got to interview LaChina Robinson, we got to interview Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
That's right.
Which, by the way, I invited his press secretary, Mo, to my birthday party. So I'm really hoping he comes.
If he comes through, it'd be huge.
Yeah, wouldn't it? He
Yes.
was like, "Oh, that's so sweet. I'll let you know." And I was like, "Oh, he left. He gave me a maybe."
I
Isn't
mean,
that exciting?
he's traveling the globe. He might,
Yeah. I'm gonna go with like a sentimental pick. Okay.
Okay. I love this.
And that is the us being able to go to the first ever WNBA game in Toronto as media,
Mm-hmm.
which was a really big deal. It was one of those moments for me where it was like, the kid version of me would have been really excited and really proud. I debuted the pink suit that day,
It was big.
right? Like I just I just feel like I dressed for the occasion, I arrived for the occasion. We were a bit shy in terms of like talking to players and understanding how to ask questions, but that's just part of the process,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I think getting
And we're
this
comedians.
literally like
We're from a different planet, so it's like
yeah, we don't have a journalistic background at all. So
yeah.
it was like, but I think like getting our podcast to that level of legitimacy, I think meant a lot to us personally, but also just meant a lot to the show. And I feel like it propelled us forward in a way that not that we wouldn't have moved forward without it, but I just feel like it was really good for us to have that experience, and hopefully when Toronto has our team, we'll be accredited media. That's our hope, and we'll be able to gain that experience and be there. And you know it's just a very cool part of our growth.
That's a great answer. Um, this was fun because there's some silly options, but
Yes.
I'm going like half silly, half um
Okay, good.
yeah, half emotional here. So yeah, we had that big, the big episode. We got to meet the prime minister. It was crazy. The episode before was one of my favorite memories because yeah, for anyone who's a longtime listener, we are Canadians, Torontonians. We have been, covering this league, having a great time with it. And always sort of like joking, wishing, hoping that Toronto's going to get a team. There was just like this definitive moment where it was like our really super wealthy oligarch, like succession style, mogul owner of the Raptors and the Leafs and all, a bunch of Toronto teams, Rogers, he like struck down the WNBA team. So it was like, we're not going to have this. Fuck.
Mm.
We messed up. This sucks. And then kind of out of nowhere, I got a bunch of messages in the middle of the night and I happened to be awake because my son took a dump. in the middle of the night. So I'm like, what? We're getting a team. So, I was messaging Cathryn. I was like, oh my God, we're getting a team. Like, because, the people who message, I'm going to shout him out. Ryan Graham Hines, one of the best theater actors I've ever known in my life. But
Oh, I've met him before.
he's
Yeah.
awesome. He's fucking awesome. And he's moving to England. So good luck
Oh,
to England.
wow.
Good luck
Yeah.
to him in England.
Yeah.
But anyways, he was the person who was like, this is happening he told me at like, whatever it was, like, 12:30 a.m. This is happening at 6 a.m. the press release. And I was like, holy shit. And so like I had this moment, this excitement, I couldn't sleep. And I was just, up with my son, and we did an emergency podcast. So like all of the energy that was my favorite moment of this podcast. And then obviously it led to like, days later, you're like, are you up? Cause the prime minister is trying to get a hold of us. And I was like, what the fuck? But it was all part of this like amazing frenzy. And like,
That's true.
yeah. So the episode before, is
I love that pick. And like, if anyone hasn't listened to that episode, go back to us reacting to Toronto getting a team. Chelsea Late joined us on that episode. And it was we were just basking in the glow.
And we thought it's like we thought it was over. Is that meme of that old man being like, call an ambulance for yourself? Like it was like you know what I mean? It was like very much that moment where it was like, oh, whatever. I guess we just messed this one up. And it was like, no, we didn't. Like,
yeah, that's true. Great. Yeah, completely agree. That's a really fun pick. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up there. Thank you everyone for listening and tuning in as always. Big moments this week. This is our 100th episode. Also, I turned 40 this week.
Woo!
On October 10th, 10/10, baby.
Whoa, 3 days.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that wild? So a lot of for me, it's like a very sentimental week in that sense.
Wow.
But anyway, yeah,
wish Cathryn a happy 40th.
Yes, please.
Tell her brother he's a shrimp, do what you gotta do, like,
Oh my gosh, you'll meet my brother Jason at my birthday party.
Excited.
You should mention that to him. That's
certainly will. And he'll
be like,
and he'll be like, you need to move on, Freddie. And I'll be like, but I can't.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Yeah, thank you again, everyone. And happy game 5, happy start of the WNBA finals. Freddie, do you want to just do a quick social media shout out before I forget?
At the Pickup Podcast. Follow us, subscribe. Comment. We love when people get at us.
Remember the contest. Let's remind people about the contest again.
The contest, which by the way, is going till October 12th.
Yes.
At 5 p.m. is the deadline. So retweet, follow us on any of our socials. And so a lot of love to Karina, who's doing some fun stuff with the podcast. So follow all of us, and make sure you follow her, Karina Mustafa, on Twitter. And we'll see you next week. But this is really exciting. Good times. 100,
baby. We did it. Thank you, everyone. And we'll catch you next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.